The time has come for 5 red lights. Three wide through turn 3. Oh, into the wall!
I knew this would happen. I knew they wanted to try something.
Yamar have gotten their wish. A 1-2 for the team. Another victory for VNT to put the cherry on top of their dominance. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Competitive Speed Series for the next instalment. We are at Mexico. I'm joined once again by Ollie. Ollie, welcome along for this one. Mexico always provides some entertaining action, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. It's a fast-flowing track with sharp corners in Sector 1 and the start of Sector 2, and then it's flowing all the way through the S's and the final sector, which normally presents for a very high average lap speed, close to about 230, I'd argue. But you could see a lot of strange things happening with spins, invalidations. Anything can happen here, really.
Yeah, loads of things can happen here. The cars are just getting out to start their first, I suppose, laps for this one. But we'll head to the standing screens just to show you exactly everything that is, well, on offer, even after Shizu's absolute torrid timeout last time. They're just 1 point away from breaking that 500-point mark, and I don't want to say all but certain to clinch the championship, because Ventari had a good race out last time and extended their position in P2.
They did indeed. They were only 29 points ahead of P4 at the time, which is FRT, but even then, Onibi also had a bad race. I think they double DNF'd in the end, so they brought home 0 points. So the gap between FRT, VNT and Onibi has stretched a lot more, but it doesn't mean Onibi are completely out of it. They can still have a challenge for P2 in the championship, but it'll obviously be a lot harder considering their current circumstances.
Right, let's head over trackside and have a look at what's going on. There's definitely I believe that's a Mercedes coming around the final corner. It's our W06 official to start qualifying off here in Competitive Speed Series and heading towards turn number 1. And this could be, well, a crucial point in the race. I know it's the first throws of qualifying, so we get a little bit of a chance to watch over what's going on, but also speak about what's going to happen in the race. That could be a big point, especially lap 1, can't it?
Yeah, because the perfect grid position you want to be really around here to start the race, heading down towards turn 1, would be between P2 and P3, because you can get the turbo off the car ahead, which can give you a bit of a slingshot going down towards the braking zone of turn 1, and if you get that slingshot, you can almost confirm that position and have the lead into the second part of the lap, which could potentially be a huge game changer for the next few laps.
And unfortunately, our W06 official has invalidated, pulls over, and decides they're not going to go on that one. We do have a fast-going AMS Frozen coming through, but as you may see, as Silo setting the first times, a 1:13.829 to start things off with. And here's AMS Frozen. What can they do in comparison? It's 4/10 off. That's actually quite good in comparison to a Silo, only being 4/10 off, the quickest driver on console. But yeah, there's only 18 drivers here tonight, Ollie.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to 32 penalty points picked up by Tatum, they are going to have to serve a dual race ban, but also picked up a 10-point deduction due to it. So they will be only 2 points ahead of AMS, who have got both drivers here tonight, compared to only 1 last week due to themselves also serving a race ban. But there is a very high chance that TRT could possibly not even finish the season if they keep picking up penalty points the way they do.
And that's not ideal at all. As Lucas there goes a 14-3. David does take provisional pole away from Silo. A good qualifying lap there for David, setting things off there. Volokongan, I think, could be on a line. I'm not sure if Milan was, but let's see what Volokongan can do. A very established driver in the console scene is Volokongan, aren't they?
Yeah, he's been round. Apologies, for a few years now. Obviously with TVA, but when they shut, I believe he went straight to the Jadoo, and he's been there through all three of their world championships, especially during the CPI merger, which made him even more powerful. But he's always been one that's stuck around for ages, and he's basically made SCI his own.
A slight cut there at the exit, or the turn 14-15, very, very tight there. It would have been a 14-0, which would have put them in third place ahead of VNT Thomas, who's gone into third place there. AERT Caden then up into fifth place. That's good for them. It was Milan on a lap. I think they may have invalidated themselves. Hajjaj has invalidated as well, so a fair few drivers invalidating on this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to it being bankers, they still have the second lap and maybe even the third or fourth if they decide to go for softer, which I heavily doubt they did. So it's going to be a bit of a blow to their confidence and also potentially their tyres if they went for the softer compound, which I heavily doubt they did, due to how heavy the tyre wear can be in the race. As in PC yesterday, even with the extra tyre wear they can hold, a large majority of their group are still doing two-stoppers, so the favoured strategy could be a two-stopper, but you wouldn't be too shocked if you see a heavy saving one-stopper by some of the faster people.
Yeah, we've seen Volokongan be able to tyre whisper in various different leagues and even in competitive speed series as well. A driver that is just capable of doing it when it really matters, as Zinedine Hajjaj there cutting at turn 7. It's quite tricky, isn't it? This section, sector 2, 7 to 11. It's you've got to be quite harsh with the movements, but smooth at the same time. It's really a fascinating part of the track, which can cost a lot of drivers, well, not only penalties but time.
Yeah, because through the turn 7, you don't really want to flick too hard, because if you flick, you could just go straight on and completely miss the apex. But you can also can't be too smooth, because if you break the same point and you smooth in, you could turn too early, possibly invalidate on the inside. So really, you want to have the slightest flick through turn 7, then through 8 to 11, you just want to take it as smooth as possible, minimizing any heavy wheel rotation to get it just through as fastly as possible with very minimal overcorrections, because overcorrections could kill your tires around here very, very brutally.
Tyre wear will definitely be one to watch out for. And okay, in our scene it won't be too much of a problem, but it is quite high altitude, and that can cause some problem with the engine overheating at times as well. But I don't think EA have managed to make that into the game yet. They're not that intelligent for it. I think that might be a bit harsh, but moving swiftly on, IRT Sam is just about to start their lap time. You can see drivers, when they start their lap time, they hug the outside of the track, and then when they finish their qualifying lap, they hug the inside. And I feel like David Croft right now, trying to explain the absolute minutest of detail, which everyone will probably know, but it's millimeters, isn't it? Or the track width can save you 3 or 4 tenths of a second in the lap, can't it? It's incredible how time can be saved in weird and wonderful places for a qualifying lap.
Yeah, because round the final corner, when you're about to start a lap, you really want to maximise momentum, as Sam does have a little bit of a snap through the 5-6 hairpin. But on the start of a lap, you want to go as wide as possible, get as much momentum for the main straight, and then near the end of the lap, you obviously want to be as tight as possible to minimise track usage, but also not invalidating your lap on the inside. Because if you go as tight as possible without invalidating, you could find thousandths of a second, which could be huge game changers on your last lap.
And, well, everything is as an invalidation for Sam. That's not ideal coming through that area. Let's go on board with Quantum, who's yet to set a lap time heading into turn 1. And sooner or later, they're going to start... Well, drivers who, from 14th down, RW06 official, who we saw invalidate earlier on as well. These drivers, you know, the pressure starts kicking in. Okay, there's 8 minutes left of the session, so it's not too much of a problem as Lucas throws themselves into third place. But you don't want... Some people thrive off that pressure in the final lap to set it and get it, you know, to set the world alight. But some drivers, they don't want... They want a banker on there just to let them know that where they're up and down on the timing screen. I know I prefer it, having a little timer up there to say. And Quantum, again, going wide at turn 9, or at the exit of turn 9 into 10, and that's another lap where they won't be going quicker.
Yeah, exactly. This is really not what Quantum wanted, because it's the same as last week. He struggled to get the lap in, and as you mentioned, when it came to Dawid also invalidates on the entry to the final corner, but you really just want to get a lap in immediately, so you've got some sort of benchmark to set for, and without it, you're just going to be shaking the entire way around. I've had this a few times, many times, especially last season, where I didn't have a lap until the final run, and I would shake and I'd feel my heartbeat just go all the way around, just because I had so much pressure on myself. But it would eventually be perfect, but Ortiz slots into third position, and Silo, not too much of a shocker, goes to P1 ahead of Dawid by quarter of a tenth, and Milan goes up to P3 now as well, just ahead of Ortiz. But really, without the banker, you're not going to get anywhere. Just like RW06 here, he's only set a 41.4, which is really not what he wants, unless he's obviously backed out of his lap. But you've also got someone like Hadjad, who's still not Zinedine Hadjad for RSC, who are currently in a very hot title fight for P5, only a single point ahead of ART, who are currently outperforming them like mad in qualifying. But Hadjad's going to come to the line now. He's going to slot into P4 with a 13.8, just behind Roman and just ahead of Thomas, who set some very, very respectable laps, as well as Volokongan, who slotted in 6th place.
Yeah, so VNT really hitting off from last week and wanting to still be a force this season. And I think there's an invalidation for Inwer, so they won't be going any quicker. Quantum did a second run, interestingly, and gets himself into 9th. That's not what we would expect from Quantum, but at least that's the banker that they needed on the board.
Yeah, as I mentioned with Ray when he set 41.4, he went for a second lap, but unfortunately did invalidate that lap as well, so he's really going to go into this final lap blind. He would have done a 13.989, which would have been just ahead of Milan and just behind Voller. So he's going to go into the final lap blind, but he's 100% got the pace to possibly challenge for a top 5 if he manages to get everything together.
Yeah, 5.5 minutes left of qualifying here in Mexico for Competitive Speed Series. And at the moment, well, you would probably be able to bet your house that Silo could be on the front row of the grid as things stand in this version of the game. And Silo is there at the top of it. But David, invalidating their second run is still up there. So that shows that David may have the opportunity here tonight to, well, possibly be in a chance for a victory.
Yeah, he was there last week as well, where he was right there at the top of qualifying, because there he got P2, but he was P1 for a majority of the session. It could be a reverse of it this week, where he still pole off Silo this week, but it's quite unlikely considering how difficult it is to find time if you're down by the slightest bit, and if you haven't nailed everything after where you are, it's going to be really, really difficult to get enough time to possibly creep ahead. But I would not put it past Dawid if he manages to snatch pole off him, but it's not going to be easy at all.
Definitely not, and there's still plenty of action to be had in qualifying. I can't believe it's in the pretty much the final 4 minutes. The track would really ramp up now as well. Frozen and Sam are two drivers on the track, and I think that's Lucas now coming out of the pits lane as well. So the IRT drivers wanting to get their qualifying done early doors here this evening, and we'll have to wait and see how it will all pan down. And it will be great to see the rest of the standing as well. I know we've really hit home about what the permutations is really for the championship and who's going to be out of the top three, but there's still battles throughout, to be perfectly honest. And we know Shazoo pretty much have one hand on the title, but when we get to the interlude between qualifying the race, I'm sure we'll bomb down with it better. But Sam, that's a wonderful first sector in comparison to the last time. That's nearly 0.4 of a second quicker. That will propel them up the order quite a lot.
Oh yeah, it's exactly what he needs due to his not perfect qualifying position at the moment. But if he can keep this going, obviously find even more time around the lap, he could possibly challenge for a top 10, which would be really good for IRT. They are also involved in that battle between RSC and AERT's P5. They are only 16 points behind AERT, which would be 17 behind RSC. But VMV, don't count them out as well. Even though they're not in the best position, they've got two people who are very fast. And Sam has had a huge tank flapper out of the final corner. He would have not improved by much. He lost a lot of time in the second half of the lap, which is just really not good. And Volakongan have picked up a 5-plate grid penalty for illegal blocking, which will most likely be removed, which could see a restart after qualifying.
The restart game is possible, and that's a problem with this sort of track, the smaller tracks. It's very easy to get that. Frozen flying through the second sector right now could get in a little bit of trouble with cars being all over the place. Frozen is 0.2 of a second quicker at the moment. I think that will propel them up into, well, the top 7 as things stand. If they can keep on going quicker as well, that would be even better. But through the final few corners for the AMS driver, is it going to be enough? It's not. They're not hugging as much as I thought they would have done. There's another 5-place grid penalty. But up it to P6 for Frozen. That's a good lap time for the AMS driver for the time being.
Oh yeah, it's just brilliant. It's made me very happy with that. We've also got Gergo for AMS, who's currently around turn 1, who has come up to lap. That looks like it could be IBO 6 style up. It is. He's going to be one who's looking for pace. Obviously, he did 13.9 in Valley last time. But who is on a lap just near an end? Cole, no. Caden, no. You might have a few people. You've got Lucas, who has done a double out. So everyone now is starting their final laps. So it's going to be a mixed batch. But it seems like one of the AMS drivers, I believe Gergo's coming through the middle sector now. He's just under a 10-foot on his sector 2, and he had a huge slide out of turn 12, I believe that is, around the hairpin of 13 and 14. He's got no one in front of him, thankfully. It's going to be clean air all the way to the line, and he's going to hug the inside, and he's going to do a 14.041, which is the 10th improvement, and now you've got other people following behind, so I'll let you take the rest of it.
Here comes Quantum then around the final few corners of 0.1 of a second up. It's enough. It's definitely, that banker has helped them to set it and up into P3 right behind their teammate of David there. And, well, I think while there is other drivers coming through, it would be amiss of us not to go on board with David, who is now 0.2 of a second quicker than their previous run. And this is absolutely flying for the FRT driver. Can they produce a qualifying lap to dispatch of Silo? It looks like it is, because Silo's in the pit lane. Volakongan, I think, is up into 3rd place. And David is a 0.1 quicker than Silo. I don't know if anyone else is going to be able to beat that. Roman has invalidated. I believe a RW official has sorted their lap time out. Maybe V&T Thomas.
Yeah. So that's a great lap from Dawid. Obviously, it just came out of nowhere, but obviously with Silo boxing, he's obviously going to have a little bit less pressure on him. But you've got Thomas. Thomas done a lap, I believe he is. He's up by 600 for Tech 2. He's going to have a huge slide out the final corner, meaning his lap time is all but gone. So he's obviously going to be really frustrated with himself. Roman also invalidated and boxed, which is really not what Ventari wanted. race at a really good lap at the death to put himself ahead of his teammate, who by only 6 thousandths of a second, Caden just about seals the top 10. But what could you expect with this grid going into the race? Could you see both SCIs go past, or could you see maybe even an RSC challenging for the lead and so on?
Well, this is the thing. Sometimes being at pole position here at Mexico isn't the most ideal thing. And, well, David, overall 1 lap pace is up there. Maybe Silo and Volakonga were trying to do something a little bit, sportsmanship, I guess, or non mind games, and trying to be a little bit off the pace to allow someone else at the front so they could get into it at turn 1. We're just waiting for the lobby to sort itself out. I think it's RW06 official trying to get it through on there. But that is your order for this evening. It's David, Silo on the front row of the grid. Then you've got Volakonga and Quantum. Then Roman, official, Zinedine Haddad, Thomas, Frozen, Caden rounding out the top 10. Then you've got Milan, Gergo, Ortiz, Cole, Lucas, Boyalulu, Inwa and Sam, remaining drivers here this evening. Let's go to the standings. I know we've got a lot to talk about in qualifying and everything. However, 1 point separating AERT and RSC, and really IRT are in the mix as well. If they can get a good points haul here, they're back into it.
Yeah, this is an ideal situation for RSC because they currently have the edge on ART and IRT, I believe, because I don't think Lucas is ahead of either of them. So for the battle for P5 in the championship, it is first blood RSC, which is exactly what they needed at the moment if they want to have a chance at the prize pool. And it'll be an incredible turnaround if we look at last season, where they finished last with only 29 points from memory. So really all they've done from last season to this season is just turn it around really well.
Yeah, plenty of options for them all to do something tonight, because you can make yourself a headline for your team if you produce a great result, and then all of a sudden the momentum swings into your way. But we know how quick the RSC drivers are, and sometimes you look at them being in 5th place and you're like, should they not really be up there with maybe OMB and FRT and Ventauri? But as the fake restart is or the fake start is going to happen, and I'm not going to show that because usually it's carnage. Hopefully it's not. It's nowhere near. This is pedestrian in comparison. I should have left it.
Yeah, but it's not a VNT. Started on the track without a wheel. It's just absolute carnage, as you would expect, really, from a restart launch, isn't it? Definitely is. Who's going to take? Who? It's easy to say Silo for victory, being one of the quickest, if not the quickest, on console. But who do you think is going to take victory as a sole driver tonight? Before we hit about the teams and everything. As the sole driver, I could 100% see being either of the SCIs or Dawid, because obviously Dawid has got the launch already, but you could also, don't put it past someone like Quantum to really also put in a threat for a win. My personal opinion would probably be Silo, just because he's got the ability to tire save, and he's got the overall raw pace on everyone else, I'd argue.
Yeah, it's definitely an option for it, isn't it? Silo being so quick, or as quick as they are through it all, they can control races in ways that some other drivers would. Well, I know I would love to be able to control races that Silo is able to control. But when we boil things down, Shizou really, after last week, they really need a week this week to remind everyone for that they are at the top of the standings for a reason, I guess.
Yeah, because SCI, I learned overall tournaments are actually yet to lose an event, so this could be the race where they all but seal their 100% streak to keep going. and they would be back to back in the championship, which is something you don't see very often in events. But obviously here they've just put an absolute statement over everyone else's head that they are the best team on console right now and the 100% team to beat. But they are also majority PlayStation. If you want to link Xbox driving to it, you would not count out a team like FRT, who have got two of the best on Xbox in Quantum and Dawid, who are obviously racing tonight. And they've just always been a crucial threat over everyone else on console, just due to their own raw talent. And they've always been up there from 23 and 24 and also 25. They've always been there to put a statement on everyone else on Xbox.
Yeah, it's such a solid lineup from an Xbox point of view as well. And considering the Xbox side has seemed to have taken a little bit of a hit of recent years, they're not as strong as they used to be in comparison to PlayStation. I always felt like it was kind of 50-50 before, but now I would say maybe 75% of the strongest drivers are PlayStation.
I'd argue more than 75, maybe even 80. Because look back a few years ago, you slowly saw 2023 where you had the likes of Kai Pearce and Reece Linton, who were always there, just faster than everyone. And then through 24, PS got a little bit more dominant, but then by 25, PlayStation just had the clear edge on Xbox that you would not see looking normal a few years ago.
Yeah, and even testing memory banks a little bit more, you had Otis Lawrence and Thomas Ronha, and Harvey Cohen. I know Harvey never made it to esports as a official, but again, all Xbox drivers, all incredibly quick. Alfie Butcher, Tom Manley, all hit the esports scene. All came from the Xbox side of things. Who'd have thought? A couple of years down the line, yeah, it's crazy to think. Yeah, I'm just trying to. Where else can we go with this? Because standings wise, let's go back to here. Alien Motorsport, or AMS, have a chance of not finishing bottom.
Oh, it'd be really, really good if we don't finish last, because obviously we've been at the foot of the championship all season, unfortunately, because last week was our best race since being in round 4, which I mentioned before the stream. But hopefully, once again, using Frozen, who is very fast and one of the best on Xbox at the moment, for an A, due to the fact there's not many left. And then you've also got Gergo, who's always been round on 24 and also 25 with TTM and AMS. But he is really fast, the pair of them, and they could always be good fun for them too.
I just need to compose myself. I've just seen what David has put as the console tier 1, the console tier 1 chat, the console chat. I'm not even 100% sure. Calendar. Let's go to the calendar. That should give me something to talk about. Yes, Mexico, obviously this week, round 12. Texas, again, another different track, but something which can really test the drivers next week.
Yeah, because it's also an overflowing track throughout most of the lap, nearly the entirety of the lap. It's also, once again, got these sharp corners that makes it very similar to Mexico. But you've got some very mixed opinions about COTA on the game. You've got some people that might absolutely love it, but then even more people that might really, really hate it. So you could see a very, very mixed up grid next week, depending on people that want to race.
Definitely, time will tell. But we've already hinted at it that by round 13, Shazoo Cedars could could tie up the championship, which is mental to say the least. Strategy tonight, you've already half mentioned that maybe we could see a two-stopper tonight, where some of the stronger drivers will try and eke out a one-stop. Where would you sit? Where would you like to be on this one?
I have no clue because the only race I've done around Mexico on this game was wet, so I never really tested strategy. But
Fair.
you will see a lot of teams doing the same strategy. You will see, really, you will never have the individual drivers doing their own sole strategy because there will always be multiple people on the same strategy. You will have some people doing a medium hard hard. You could have some people doing a hard medium or even a medium hard. It is very, very mixed.
Certainly, it certainly feels like it will be a different setup for the drivers this evening as well. The lights should be going at 20:36, or that's when the A button was pressed for the lobby to get going. So very, very shortly we'll get going. Let us know in the chat who you think is going to take victory this evening, whether it's going to be Shazoo Cedars, whether it's going to be FRT or VNT, and which team, which driver even would go through it as well. I believe you did you bet on I say bet, but did you put all your money on Silo to win this one?
I would have put all my money on it. I'll put maybe most of what's left in my bank account, which is about £50.
Fair, yeah. I mean, it's a good bet to go on. You probably wouldn't get much on the returns, but it's a good bet to go on for that one. David, though, starting on pole, looked like they had the extra pace over everyone. Could be a good shout as well. And obviously the RSC drivers from a bit further back didn't really hook up their drives, did they?
No, Will Ray did on his last lap, but I don't think Zinedine actually improved compared to his second lap. So he's obviously had a bit of a blow, but I think it's also because he invalidated maybe. But I'm just looking at the strategies now. I can only see two teams that are actually trying to start the hards. So it's going to be very, very mixed up for the first couple of laps, with the medium being so much faster than the hards just going to be steamrolling it towards the end.
Here we go then. The lights are on here in Mexico. We're on 5 lights. And away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. And it looks like a pretty solid start, as we were expecting from Volokongan and Silo. Around the outside, there is David being swamped in the middle. Could there be an incident as they go into turn 1? This is a tricky part. It's 3 wide. There's a little bit of contact between David and Silo, but David somehow makes it through, and Quantum gets through Volokongan as well, but that's going to be 3 wide, with VNT Broman involved as well. So somehow David holds the lead, but into turn 3, Volokongan keeps Quantum at bay, or is it going to run out of room? It's very, very tight into turn 4 and 5, but Volokongan holds it.
Yeah, but this is exactly what SCI wanted to do, obviously with everyone to turn 1, but they obviously didn't actually get it done completely because Dawid managed to hold on despite being in the middle of an SCI sandwich, and Quantum as well, barely holding on to Roman, who's still behind him now. But the top 5 remain that Caden is currently getting in place this evening ahead of both RSCs and Thomas. He was P9, so he stormed through, but there is also a chance, depending on the tyres, that he's got ahead of them due to the tyres he's on. Yeah, I'm looking at it now, he's on mediums. Both RSCs and Thomas are on hard tyres.
A little bit longer for those hards to get up to temperature, isn't it, and get them working, but a little bit further back up, I think there is a little bit deep into turn 1, and a bit further back there is Lucas and Cole squabbling away into turn 2 and 3, and I think that's put Lucas under incredible pressure, taking the corner wrong, and that's put Cole under pressure from Ortiz, who's dropped down the order a little bit because they're starting on hards as well. It's odd to see only 2 teams going on. Usually you would have a fair few drivers swap their strategies around, but it just 2 teams.
Yeah, it's complete opposite to yesterday where most actually start on hard, but like I mentioned, where you don't really want to have this sole driver on a strategy, Thomas has done the opposite of Roman, which could work in their favour towards the end of the race, as if he's on a one-stop, he could full push it and just blast to the end and have a chance of a podium, maybe even a win if he managed to get everything sorted. but it's obviously getting through everyone, and around the track, you've only really got 2 proper overtaking those in turn 1 and turn 4.
Go back up to the leaders. Silo doesn't want. I don't know if they don't want to attack David right now, but they're just happy to stick behind. Volokongan was ever so close to being outside the DRS of Silo as they headed through the stadium section, but caught back up down that long straight. RW06 official has lost the DRS to Caden in 6th place, and that will do AERT a world of good.
A world of good indeed, but unfortunately, RSC will still have the point advantage due to Cole being down in P14, and also in the battle for P5 championship, IRT are really doing themselves no favour. They've only got 1 driver in the point, and even then it's only a couple of points, which will just really scar them towards the end. But at the moment for P5, it's obviously, like I mentioned earlier, first blood RSC. But if we look back to the battle for P2, it's FRT who are going to eke in even tighter to Ventauri and push Onibi out of the battle for P2. But it's going to be all square throughout the entire race. There'll be mixes of strategies. There could also maybe be the safety car if it goes that way.
Into turn 1 as we look on board with VNT, Thomas, and this group, the second train, is now 2 seconds behind the leading train of cars, and Gergo looked like they wanted to have a little look up the inside, but all of a sudden they're on the back foot because Milan got very close at the exit of turn number 3 as, well, Gergo, AMS need Gergo to get past these hard runners sooner rather than later. And I know you will be wanting them to produce that as well, but they don't want to be caught behind the hard runners too early.
Oh yeah, they need to get past them really soon, because within a lap or 2, the mediums will start to slowly die. But it's not really slow; it's more of a very painless death, which just drops off at an insurmountable pace compared to the hard runners who can go for 20 plus laps, maybe even close to 25.
And to the leaders, I think the first time since the start of the Grand Prix, Silo's had a perfect run out of the final corner, moves to the inside of David to take the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix on lap 5, and maybe now will try and push David into the clutches of Volokongan and to get a Shazoo 1-2 really working in order as Frozen and Ortiz are that's Ortiz and Cole squabbling away for P13, which won't be helping ART's points haul this evening at all. And now there's a gap between Ortiz and Frozen up into 12th place. Back to, I suppose we should go back to the battle for P7, because Ray is holding on well. Zinedine is, well, not wanting to put too much pressure on their teammate.
Yeah, this is really what RSC want. They want to have both drivers behind one another, which would have one driver towing them along and the other driver acting as the train car behind, towing everyone along, but not putting enough pressure on either of them to really damage them, because RW6 and Zinedine are very fast paired, both of them, but with a car in between the pair of them, it would not be what they wanted. But speaking about RW6, he's slowly starting to creak in a little bit on Caden. Obviously right now he's going to lose out, as Zinedine is going to get past Ray, and he's going to be the new leading train runner. But this is about the time where you see the medium starting to die off and let the hards try have a little bit of go at them. But Thomas, who could get really close to the back of Ray, who will just about stay ahead of him. But this is what RSC want. They want to have the car in front and then the car behind him being towed along.
Interesting. Lucas, Sam and Inwert all pitted. Very early doors, onto a set of hards. Maybe they know something we don't. I don't think anyone mentioned rain in the chat. But well, let's keep on board with Zinedine and Ray, because they are actually closing back in, and you know, echoing your words of the medium compounder tyres will start to lose their overall performance in comparison. Look how close in that stadium section alone, half a second Zinedine caught there.
Yeah, he's closed in a crucial amount, but obviously it's just not going to be enough. It's going to creak over a second again, but it is so evident as Dawid does get back past Silo, but it's so evident that the hard are now the tyre to be on compared to the medium, because it's giving RSC a chance to double back. We've got Thomas who barged himself past Ray for P8, so this is really, really bad for RSC's case right now, but he's still right with him, so could we go for a dive bomb into turn 4? It doesn't seem like he could. There is a bit of damage, contact, sorry, and Thomas is actually sideways for a little bit, so that gap could really get close to over a second now, as it seems like it might. It's going to stay at about 9.5 tenths, and Thomas will just hold on. No, he won't. He'd actually been dropped, and Zinedine is in a race now technically if Ray doesn't get back past him ASAP.
This has just added a little bit of extra spice to it. But when they go into the stadium section, can Zinedine get into the DRS of the drivers ahead? Thomas has got back into it. Zinedine has the DRS detection zone, and they're all in DRS range again of each other, and the hard compound tyres will definitely, well, they are definitely the racier tyres to be on right now. Does Silo Silo decide to attack David again? Looks a little to the inside, but nothing majorly going on. Which defensive AMS driver was that? That is Ortiz getting past Gergo, with Gergo trying to defend, but it just the tyres not at their best, and not the premium tyres to be on. Not ideal, as Lucas and Boyalulu getting... Oh, it's because Boyalulu's in the pits as well. Very early pit stops here for both IRT and VMV. Deciding... Well, it looks like they're very much hitting the two-stop strategy this evening.
Yeah, 100%. You wouldn't box that early if you go for a one-stopper, unless you are the tyre... unless you are early Sergio Perez just trying to hold on for dear life, but most likely they're going to try to do a full push 2, boxing as early as possible and pushing to their heart's desire towards the end of the race. And you can kind of see on the medium tyres, you can kind of see the graining that's like starting to appear on them as they slowly die. But Zinedine is as close as he can be now to the back of Caden. So could we finally see a change to the lead? And speaking of Caden, actually, he's going to pull into the pit lane. So we've got a first leading medium runner into the pits, most likely for hard, but could he go into a 2-stop, considering how early it is into the race?
Could very well do, as Silo dives up the inside of David, and again just making a little bit more of an interesting race at the front. And this swabbling around, Caden has gone in fact onto a set of hard compounder tyres, so we'll be pushing those hards for a long period of time this evening. A little bit further down, it has meant that Zinedine wasn't able to do too much of an attack on Roman, the next medium compound runner. But we could see now Caden very much doing an undercut on some of these drivers that would have been ahead of them.
Yeah, you can definitely say that, because he's going to have clean air in front of him, while everyone else is going to pick up dirty air, which is going to affect their tyre temperatures and also engine temperatures, because that's going to be crucial, considering if EA decided to use more than 2 brain cells to allow for consideration of the height of the track above sea level.
I like how both of us got that jive in this evening. But yeah, Zinedine could be one to really watch. Anyone else decide to jump? No. None of the other medium runners deciding to throw themselves into the pits, giving Caden that extra time to pull through. Here comes Zinedine, though, much quicker at the final corner. Are they going to throw it up the inside of Roman into turn 1? They are not indeed, but look at the grip difference. That's insane how much grip that Zinedine has into turn 1 than Roman did.
Yeah, it's exactly just imperfect for him, because he is right there and he's obviously going to have more pace over everyone else, but he is still in a VNC sandwich, because there is also Thomas, who's also on the hard behind him, who is right with him. So unless he can get past Roman as soon as possible, he's going to have Thomas, who could potentially even get past Zinedine. So it's not all plain sailing for RSC now, as it was a couple laps ago. And it's going to be a question of, can they beat both VNTs on track towards when they have to box, or will it be different running of the between P5 and P8?
This is going to be an interesting one, how it will all fan out. Is that up the inside, or was that a defensive move from Zinedine, getting maybe put off by Thomas heading into the hairpin of the stadium section at turn 13 there. Managed, thankfully, I don't think, to get damage either of them there, but Thomas really wanted to make that move, and I don't think Hajjaj wanted to let him by.
No, not a chance he wants to let them by, because he wants to go for Roman. So there was a chance to go for an attack on Roman, because Roman was still holding a normal line. But Thomas was also trying to get past. So I think it was just a little bit of contact from Thomas onto Zinedine, which caused the RSC driver to ghost, which hampers him. But we have Thomas going for a bold dive bomb. He's going to lock the race, and he's going to get past the RSC driver. Without the contact, they are colliding around turn 4 and 5. He's off the track, and he's going to be forced off there, wheel hooking himself. Could we see Milan Diosi come out of nowhere? We will, and so's Ray. So they've gone from P5 or P6, sorry, and P7, so down to P8 and P9 behind two other hard runners. So this is not good for both of them drivers.
Not ideal at all for Thomas and Zinedine. That maybe too much of the elbows out was happening there. Let's see if there's any more afters as they go into the hairpin. There is going to be some afters at the turn 13. It's unlucky for some, and it's going to be unlucky for both of these drivers if they're not careful, forcing each other. This could end in tears between the two of them. Oh my goodness. Somehow they're still squabbling away, and Thomas gets the move done. But yeah, that wasn't without some argy-bargy involved as well. And it's not over yet, because Ortiz is trying to get through. Where does Zinedine come through all this? They're not going to try 3 wide into turn 1, are they? They thankfully think better of it.
Yeah, that was a really good squabbling between the pair of them. Obviously, it's really scarred them, because now Thomas has been gapped by the top 6. So RSC, really bad situation. We got a huge dive bomb from Zinedine, and there's even more contact. So these two are definitely having a bit of after with each other, and it's been going on for a couple of laps now. We've got Ortiz on the inside of Hajjaj. There's even more contact between them. So Hajjaj is just going to continue losing out to more drivers, and he's going to just about hold on to the position round turn 8, 9, 10 and 11. So this is really bad, and Thomas has actually picked up a penalty. So this is really, really, really hurt VNT now as we come through the end of the first third of the race.
That's incredible. Is that a squabble? That is between the other RSC and VNT drivers as pit stops for some of them. Oh my goodness me, into the pits. Oh, VNT Roman was going into the pits, and Ortiz had to take, Milan had to take avoiding action. Gergo getting a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's not ideal for them. My goodness me. What did we just witness there?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to track it, but I think Roman got a launch sent by Ray, which caused a little bit of a ghosting, it seemed. And I don't know if you noticed it, you saw Milan Diosi just go flying through the pit lane and just came out the end of it like nothing happened. So something's definitely going on. We are 100% going to see a lot of reports come after this race between Onibi, VNT, and RSC.
Yeah, it's well, I think I did mention, I hope I mentioned, that it's always a little bit of a fun race at Mexico, always having an entertaining one, and also controversy happens, and it's definitely happening this evening as Quantum desperately holding on for dear life in front of Ray for the battle for now P2 as Volakongan was able to pull away. Do we see Volakongan pit? We do indeed, as there goes Quantum as well, and now Ray leads the Grand Prix.
Yeah, so now they're either going to be on Salomon Dowd in P13, P14, but obviously they are the net leaders So they are going to just steamroll ahead of everyone else. And we've got the final medium coming in now with Frozen also following them through. But go goes 10 seconds. That's going to really, really brutalise AMS's chances of getting ahead of TRT in the championship. They are now 17th and 18th. But we have still got 5 medium runners ahead of them. And we're going to have possibly 3 wide. Turmoil, we're not going to get it, thankfully, between Silo, who gets past of Lucas, and now we've got Boy Lula in front of him. And Dawood's going to also get a huge slingshot off the back of Lucas, and he's going to get past. So now Silo and Dawood back to the top 10, and we're going to see another by Silo. It doesn't seem like we will, but it had allowed Dawood to catch right back up to within just a 2 or 3 10. And we're going to see Silo maybe go for it again into this 6-7 hairpin. We will, and they're side by side. Will Boy Lulu back out? It seems like they will. And there is now a gap between Dawood and Silo, which Silo really needs to take advantage of now. Otherwise, it's not going to help his own case.
Definitely not. And maybe we'll see it in... Well, can they... I'm pretty certain they're going to be able to dispatch. And up the inside, just behind... that is very, very tight. And David getting past. And surely, David just outside the DRS detection zone there. And that might not be ideal, which will help Silo maybe bridge a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, it's really, really unfortunate for Dawood to not have DRS, but he's still not going to lose out too badly because Sam in front also didn't have DRS, so he's going to be behind Sam now, so it's not completely over yet for Dawood's chance of a win.
No, he has to be involved in this one as well. Caden having a really good run, 6.6 seconds in front as David and Sam swapping positions. That's exactly what David needed to do to ensure they kept up with Silo. But we're pretty certain that Caden will be pitting again because they won't be wanting those tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. Surely not.
Not a chance, because pin lap 9, you're really going to look about 13 or 14 laps on hard tyres, so you could see him back in about lap 23 or 24 to bolt it onto the end.
Let's, obviously, the top 5 have yet to pit. Leading the way in this Grand Prix is RW6 official from Milan as Frozen picks up a 3-second time penalty. And I just heard the tut from Ollie there with more compounded errors for the AMS team as these two drivers, David and Silo, trading fastest laps as RW official Ray has dropped down 4 positions here. What has happened to the RSC driver? Squabbling away. Oh, this could be very, very, very dangerous coming through here. Somehow Thomas is getting involved with the RSC drivers yet again.
It's really naughty. Unfortunately, this is not what you want really in an event. They're just colliding on straights. And naughty is right on the back of the match, speaking of which. But they are going to go side by side. Thomas is going to force them off. This is just really not what you want. Thomas is going to have a huge tank slapper round turn 9. And they're going to allow Ortiz through. And maybe Zinedine to have a little look, but it doesn't seem like they will. And Ray is just being really, really, this is not what you want. And he's put them in the wall. And oh my god, there is contact between both RSCs, unfortunately. So I believe Hajjaj has got damage, and Ray is just head lost now. It's not what you want.
Oh, goodness. Interesting. Ray retiring from the session as well. Thankfully in the pit lane and not causing a safety car or anything, but that is something.
That's just poor. Poor from all 3 drivers, I'd argue. Ortiz is really lucky to not be involved in anything more severe, but that was poor from both all 3 of Zinedine, Thomas and Ray, which is just not what you want to see in an event like this. There will be 0 to 120 for all 3 maybe after the race.
Yeah, the other problem is they just held each other so much that they just pulled themselves out of a position where they could have fought for really good points towards the end of the race, but not ideal. Zinedine, Thomas and Ortiz now 3 seconds behind Milan DOC as Caden is trying to catch this group, and you've got to feel for Caden because they probably don't want to be squabbling away with drivers that are attacking each other.
really not what he wants, but this is perfect, really, with all that battle behind it, just to let Milan have the main edge on the alternate strategy, but you've got to really feel for Zinedine. Unfortunately, he has to, when Ray was squabbling with Thomas, he has to get some damage from Ray spinning. So, on one hand, you can be really annoyed at Zinedine, but on the other hand, you've got to feel a bit bad because he picked up damage from no fault of his own.
Not ideal for the RSC driver as well, heading through, trying to keep together, but it doesn't look like it's working at the moment as Lucas drops 2 positions down the straight as Inwer going and losing a place to Gergo, and the 4-way squabble for 14th and 15th, the last 2 point scoring positions here in competitive speed series. Is heating up as well, and there's one just in the foreground as well of another VMV and IRT squabble as Frozen and Lucas getting through as well. It's all happening this evening with a load of drivers wanting to be causing controversy.
Yeah, it's just sloppy all around, really, I'd argue, with what you hate to see, really. But I think the contact that happened between Sam and Boiler was just due to the fact that Sam did look like he locked his rears, and you got Quantum, who might have a looking to turn 12, but he's going to stay behind Sam. But I'd argue the reason Sam, Boiler, Lou obviously made contact was due to the rear locking of Sam on the inside, because it's really hard to control your car through a double right-hander like that. And Sam dashed into the pit lane to complete his second stop, I think. It's really early to complete his second pit stop already if you're on the 2-stopper.
Yeah, not ideal. Zinedine really dropping away from Ortiz and Thomas, who are fighting away. There's squabbles throughout the grid as VNT Roman and Quantum squabbling away. And Volokongan is going to try and do an up and under on both of the cars here. It's 3 wide as they head towards turn 4. And Quantum versus Volokongan, with Roman having to bow out, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately I wasn't able to clock that, but he's still trying to get the move on Quantum. He looks like he's going to stay behind just about, but Caden actually caught onto the back of the train for the second spot on the podium because he's right behind Zinedine, who unfortunately still has that damage. So Caden's going to try to go through ASAP, which looks like his first real chance. He's going to be on the pit straight with DRS if Zinedine can't hold on, which it looks like he might just about, and he has. But all he's doing is letting Silo just crawl in, and he's going to go for the inside of the final corner, and he's going to obviously have a bit more of a slingshot, and he's ahead of him with DRS. So his next target is Ortiz. So he's on, I'd say, similar strategy to both DOC or all 4 of the top 5 drivers at the moment.
Yeah, it's all a little bit skew with everything. Volokonga moves to the inside of Quantum, and again we've got Shazoo versus FRT in race position battling right now, as then they head out the exit of turn 3 and heads towards turn 4 with Volokongan with the DRS activated, because the DRS zone is still at the exit of turn 14, or between 14 and 15. So you get 2 doses of DRS to your availability there, and they're trying to catch up with Cole. It's very reminiscent of Silo and David trying to catch Caden just a few places ahead, really.
Yeah, but the one problem you got with that double detection, if you're a leading car, is if you hold on down the main straight, but you don't have the battery down the second straight, you are in so much trouble that you will all but confirm the fact you're just going to get swallowed by everyone.
Which is not ideal as we go on board with Caden, who again has a great slingshot out of the final 2 corners and gets close to the back end of Ortiz, but I don't think there's going to be enough power in the Ferrari car as they head through, and there's a little bit of a late dive there from Caden, trying to force a way through, but it's just not, maybe not going to happen at this occasion, and they're caught in a little bit of a train, which is not helping them.
Not at all. But Caden obviously really fast. He's going to go for an incredible late braking move around the outside, which is going to turn the inside. There is a bit of contact, obviously, around turn 5, but they're going to have the inside on Ortiz. Wow, he's going to go again. There's even more contact with Thomas. So Thomas is going to have another driver to be really annoyed at today. but he's managed to claw from P4 before turn 4 to P2. But that will 100% be looked at by both ONEB for turn 5 and Thomas Bile for turn 7.
Yeah, Caden had to. I feel like Caden had to get the move through just because they were being caught hand over foot by Silo and David. But yeah, it's a little bit too much maybe. I pulled a second out from Thomas, and well, let's see what they can do. They are 5.2 seconds behind Milan DOC though. That is going to be an interesting catch towards the end of it. And also for Milan DOC to catch back up to the rest of the grid. I'm really looking forward to that.
It's going to be an absolute monster climb. You've seen challenges in Tough Mudder. It's going to be like one of them maybe, where we just come through nowhere, going through what will be moving chicanes for him. And he's just going to claw past. And now Silo is he first to get through the people on the alternate strategy. And Dawid could possibly go for it into turn 7, I'd maybe say. But it looks like he won't, and this is exactly what Silo wants. He wants Dawid to stay behind through corners like this, which is just flowing. And he's going to actually try to go for a challenge into the S. Is Zinedine going to hang on? He is going to try the contact, actually, between Dawid and Zinedine. So I think Silo might have a chance to pull away, but there is also the very slow final sector, which might just give Dawid a chance to catch up. But you can never say always, never say never to someone like Dawid when it comes to his pace. And Silo's going to actually go for a dive bomb on Ortiz for P4 now. Which is he going to try hold on? He's going to hold on around the outside into the penultimate corner and the final corner. Even more contact. When are we going to see these hard runs coming? And he's round the outside. Caden's actually in for his second stop now, so he's going to be on a full push too. And so is it looks to be Zinedine. So Silo is up to P3 now ahead of Ortiz, but I think they're still side by side. They are not. And Silo going to go for it on Thomas. He is down the inside of turn 1. This is really, really good progress. And Dawid is obviously in P5 and now making contact with Ortiz. This is really, as it's going swimmingly for Silo, it's going hard-heartedly, really, really bad for Dawid.
Yeah, especially if he gets caught behind, and I think they may do. They may have to throw it up the inside at turn 6. It's going around the outside of turn 5, which has been forced off, and famously that is where Thomas Ronha and I can't remember, Rasmussen had their incident. But look at this, in the tight, twisty sector 2, David is stuck behind the slow-moving Thomas at the moment. It must feel like he's following a tank through that sector. Surely goes up the inside now and has to burn a lot of ERS to try stay in the swing of things with Silo 1.5 seconds behind. David is now 1.5 seconds behind Silo just for that, not even a half a lap, being stuck behind Thomas.
Yeah, and Milan is going to start even another lap. Thomas is in, so it's Ortiz, so we are going to have 2 of our last 3 who are on the hards the extra lap. It's just Milan who's yet to come in. He's going to come in this lap, I'd say. He's going to have 12 laps on the medium for a just mad dash through the entire field. But could it go his way, or could it actually go the opposite of his way? We'll find out, obviously, won't we?
I was going to say, Caden's gone back out on another set of hards, so which I kind of expected, but I also thought they would have gone a little bit longer on their run for their 2-stop, but obviously not trusting tyre wear on this track.
Yeah, if you want to do a 2-stop that involves 2 mediums, you would really want to get the mediums either right at the end or right at the start, or you really only want to do mediums right at the one start, one end, or 2 end to just full push it. But really, there is no point due to just how badly the mediums degrade throughout this track. So Milan obviously staying out with the extra laps is really going to help him, but he's going to be in this lap, I'd argue. Yes, he's peeling in, so the last of our alternate runners are in, and he's going to come in very cleanly, very, very tight look, but he's going to hold on. Where is he going to come out in comparison to everyone else? Could he be around Caden, or will he be a little bit closer to the likes of Thomas?
Time will tell. We'll stay on board with Volokong and Quantum and, well, Cole for the battle for P3. Quantum does have a quick look up the inside, but I don't think anything is doing on this occasion. But it's a big squabble for both RSC, sorry, not RSC, FRT and Shazoo this evening with the battling going on.
Yeah, this is perfect for Kaden, the kid, well, for Milan, the kid with Pelini. He's with Kaden actually much further ahead than everyone else. But for the top 2 teams at the moment on pure pace, it's as you would expect it to be with Silo, Dawid 1-2, then Vola, Quantum in P3-4. But the battle for the last podium spot will be very, very difficult, as well as the battle for the win, because Dawid has obviously got the pace to win, but he's also not got the gap. He's also not within the gap he needs to be at the moment for Silo. So it looks like he's going to be a bit standstill for now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's who's going to show their hand first, I think, on this one, as Roman trying to get past Cole, who's being a very tricky customer in P5. A good drive from the ART driver so far.
Yeah, but he's going to have to be in for one more stop, because there's no chance in a million years that he's going to make it to the end unless he ties safe like hell, because I can see in front right it is degraded as ever. But we've got a new fastest lap for Orchids, which isn't really a shock considering on the mediums, but Cole, you'll see him in quite soon, maybe for mediums if he manages to stay out for 1 or 2 more laps to the end.
Would you not think... no, I ignore my thought process there. Quantum still all over the back of Volakongan, and, well, just look at what that 1 lap extra having to be out on track has done to Volakongan and Quantum. From the pit stop phases, they're 3 seconds behind their teammates of Silo and David. So Quantum and Volakongan, they've both got a lot of work to do, but they do have that tyre life to their advantage. They've also now nearly gapped. Have they nearly gapped? Cole, could this come into play and help them even more?
Potentially, yeah, because Cole obviously going to be on the tyre. He's going to be a sitting duck right now, so he could be in now. He's going to be in now. So could he be onto the medium, or could we see him on the side going to rail lock and he's going to come into pit lane for potentially our last pit stop of the race?
And I think Quantum is seeing this as an opportunity to fly on past Volakongan and take that final podium position for the time being. Both AMS drivers currently P6 and 7, but they've got fast moving medium compound drivers heading behind them, as well as a fast moving ART, and they've both got penalties to their name, which obviously you don't want to be hearing, but that's the situation they're in. But they've got an opportunity here to still claim some big points, especially with everything else going on around it.
Yeah, 100%, because obviously Ray is going to pick up penalty points for RSC if he gets penalties, because obviously he's DNF, but also Thomas and Dinadine for just being really silly the entire race. But if can Onibi stay there for now, please? That would be really, really grateful for Frozen's case. But for Go, unfortunately, 10 seconds is going to really, really cost him, which is going to hurt my feelings.
Absolutely. That's definitely one way to put it. It's difficult, isn't it, when you're invested because it's your team, and not to be biased on that is very difficult. And fair play to you, fair play.
Yeah.
Let's have a look, because Frozen is looking very racy and could try and make a move on Roman. And we wouldn't have expected this at the start of the Grand Prix, because, well, Roman was further up and Frozen was towards the back of the grid. So this is turning out to be a relatively good race for Frozen.
Yeah, it's really good at the moment. He's also got the extra tyre, the extra lap on Roman, but it might not be crucial come race ends, but it's obviously going to help him at the moment.
So we've just seen Thomas dispatch Ortiz, I think, for P10, or they were squabbling away with Hadash just behind. I don't think Hadash has changed their front wing. They're just trying to keep up and get some points. IRT Sam is up into 13th place, so some points for IRT, but not enough in that battle and the squabble for points there. As that's all kicking about. Where else? Volakongan's not... Well, David's dropped away from Silo. 2.5 seconds. Is this David going, right, okay, we've lost the race, but I can help Quantum get that final podium position?
Yeah, it's probably the best at the moment because it A holds Volakongan off, but also B, well speaking of Volakongan actually gets past Quantum, but B, it actually helps them compared to Ventari in the championship because they could possibly claw themselves up to P2 because compared to last week, VNT are not having the race that they would have preferred because Thomas has got 3 seconds, is probably going to pick up more in the stewards, and Roman just really doesn't have the pace right now, even though he's only 2 seconds off the front, the P4 driver.
Yeah, the stewards, they're going to be busy there this evening, or into the week, I should say. But Volakongan managing to dispatch of Quantum, and Quantum needs to attack straight back up because, well, it's only 1.3 seconds now between themselves and David. So this is going to be tight between them for the remainder of the race. Lap 29 of 36, plenty of action still to happen.
Yeah, exactly. There is also the chance, by the way, that Dawid also dropped off due to his tyre life because he's also obviously got the lap extra, but he's not fully dropped off. He has still managed to gain a little bit on Silo, who is just at lap 30. So we've got about 7 laps to go now, including this one. But what can you really expect from race end? Could you see an Onibi top 5 maybe, and Frozen actually gets past Roman? So I'm happy now. But could you also maybe even see a Caden possibly going for a chance of also clawing towards the top 4 maybe, if he manages to hold on to his tire long enough, because the mediums will have a little bit more life in them at the moment, but the hards in a lap or 2 will come to life and he'll be able to charge past them very easily.
Well, this is going to be a tight one because obviously the short-term game for Milan was to get on the mediums, but we saw how the mediums dropped off in comparison to pace the hards. So I would see, I've got a feeling Caden's going to come right into the mix of this, and maybe upset your feelings a little bit and get past Frozen on track because, well, we saw how quick they were before. It's going to be a very, very interesting end to this Grand Prix. Lap 30 of 36, I believe, just about to hit lap 31. So not many laps remaining. Silo leading the way. Volakongan 1.2 seconds behind FRT David in P2. That is another heating attack or question mark over this Grand Prix, as I think Quantum getting very close to the back end of Vola then. And could we see a move heading into turn 13 as Sam retires from the session into the pits? I'm not sure why that's the case.
Neither, because he was, I believe, actually P14. He must not know that the points go on to 15. But we have got a battle actually between Gergo and Milan, and they are side by side, very, very argy-bargy right now, and they are rubbing side pods. But Gergo will just about hold on through 7, and he's going to go towards 8 with a little bit more of an advantage, but obviously the tyres speak otherwise, and we're actually letting Caden back into this. And Frozen is driving a very good race right now. He's still ahead of Roman, but you can never know if the penalty is removable or not. I doubt it will be, just because of the nature of the track.
That's Gergo and Roman going far wide at the exit of turn 12. Must be struggling with tyre deg and tyre life through that, as that will just, probably Milan's eyes will probably light up at that, and we'll have a look down into turn 1 or even at any other point on the track as they come hurtling down the start-finish straight up to the inside. And, well, Gergo has no defence for that this time, I don't think. He's going to try and hang it around the outside and keep it up the inside of turn 2, but turn 3, I think you're just going to see Milan Diosi go flying past as a little bit of contact between the two of them. DRS will be opened as they head towards turn 4, but there's nothing left on that, was as Caden now has joined the fight.
Yeah, I was going to interrupt you, but I decided to wait. Dawid has lost out, and he's currently actually towing along Volakongan and Quantum right now. So the battle for P2 is definitely going to heat up. Could we see yet another SCI 1-2, which will be their 4th for the season, which I believe is also going to be another record they could pick up, as well as their 8th win, which would Krieg ahead of TTM's Season 3 record from F123. So we could have 2 records potentially broken in one day, and also hand and a half for the title after today.
Yeah, probably one driver and the other driver's only putting one hand on the title. I feel like that is how Shazoo are going to be ending this evening, as up to the inside of Gergo comes Caden and taking the position, as Caden looking very racy in these, well, for these final few positions. And, you know, if I was Milan DOC, I would be worried about that Ferrari instead of trying to, well, and having to force their way past Roman instead of waiting around too long, because Caden's looking incredibly quick right now. We'll keep one eye on the clock watch, though, with Volokongan being agonisingly close to David as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a penalty situation right now. With Frozen's current situation, he won't lose out too bad, but Gergo is actually currently 8.5 seconds clear of Ortiz, who had another 4 attempts to Thomas, who's also got a penalty. So Gergo and Frozen might just about do enough to hold on to some very, very solid points to get AMS off the further championship for the first time since, I believe, round 5, which is just absolutely mental considering their run of form they had during the middle of the season.
Yeah, let's David's slowly gaining back up to Silo. That's another one to watch. It was 2.5 seconds. It's now, oh sorry, excuse me, down to 1.8, but I think that's Volokongan going up the inside, and that could be, oh, that's very, very tight. Somehow David holds station, but this could be another attack down into turn 4. I didn't think this was going to come so soon, but how is David going to hold this? Volokongan goes right up the inside, and that is position gained, and I wonder if we're going to see Silo go a little bit slower through the Sector 2 to allow for DRS games to take full effect.
If I was him, I probably wouldn't, just due to the fact that David is also still right there with him. But it does seem like he might be, because he drops back a lot. He's very clearly lifting. He's actually doing it as he predicted. So it's really, really going to scar FRT right now if they want to get a potential double podium. But Volokongan is now into DRS off Silo for the final 2 laps. So is this the crucial game changer that all but confirms it for SCI's season after only 12 rounds? And they'll just have to go into next week with just a couple points ahead of their rivals.
Most lap of the race, and we're going to see, well, the DRS open for all of them. Caden has got past Milan in all this as well, and will probably be looking to get a move done on someone else through this as well. Do we see David allow Quantum through? It looks like David has allowed Quantum to go hunting. It's not over yet. The penultimate lap of the race is upon us, and Caden, well, looks like they're trying to go through Roman. Cole getting past Ortiz, which will probably help out Gergo's time penalties. A yellow flag, and that's Lucas dropping, and there's still squabbling going on. But let's go back up to Quantum, because this, I think, is going to be where it really kicks off.
It's going to be where everything changes today. Thomas gets past Ortiz, which is going to help Gergo even more because of the penalties. But now, with only a lap and a half to go, will Silo backing off help Volokongan, or could it actually potentially hurt them? Because this season there has been a couple of times, all this game really, there's been a few times where teammates have collided and caused a crash. But considering the chemistry between Silo and Volokongan, the likelihood of happening is close to nothing, and Hajjaj just losing out a lot of places. What happened to him? It looked like he's spun. But let's don't talk onto that right now. Final lap. Quantum is going to be the hunter, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough for Silo. It's towing along Volokongan, actually not even burning any battery. So it's really what SCI wanted, because Quantum behind got close to nothing on his battery. They're all going to be burning down this straight now. But Volokongan is going to have just more than enough to hold on. So it's another SCI 1-2, it seems, this race, which is not too much of a shocker. But if any other results might not get sidelined, we've got Caden who's still battling for P5, maybe, which should be back-to-back really good results for ART. which, considering their qualifying, is perfect considering the results of what's happened with RSC this race, and it's just more than over for anyone else to challenge them in this SCI's race to lose, really, now, isn't it?
Certainly is. We're heading into the stadium section for the final time. It's Shazoo Silo that has really well. He put the cat amongst the pigeons ages ago, but he's still producing race after race after race, and it takes victory here in Mexico. And, well, Hadash picks up a penalty across the line as well to steal the thunder, but it's Shazoo 1-2, yet again, equaling the record in, well, equaling or breaking the record, I should say.
Breaking
the record. Caden does get P5 in the end. What a drive from the ART driver. And, well, you've got to hand it to FRT. They did a really good job of holding station with Shazoo for so long. Showcasing that, you know what we were saying at the start. Xbox don't have the best drivers anymore. Well, they've definitely held their own against possibly the best team on console throughout.
Yeah, exactly. But FRT clearly showed that they've got the two best drivers in the game. I would say, on Xbox, because they've used two powerhouses to just storm it, get us 3-4, which is perfect for the championship. I'll actually work out now the gaps between FRT, VNT and SCI now, because I've got the time, so if you don't mind giving me just a minute or two to sort it out,
That's fine.
I'll come back to you as soon as I can.
Not a problem at all. As well, it is what we're seeing right now, a Shazoo Cedar domination again, but FRT were close. Very, very close with getting one of their drivers on the podium and the other one rounding in fourth place. A really good race from them. Driver of the day went to Caden, and you know what? I think I would produce that as well. But it's Silo and Volokongan and Quantum on your podium this evening. Then it was David, who was on pole for this one. Then it was Caden, Roman, Frozen. Great drive from Frozen as well. Melandi OC in 8th, 9th to Cole, Ortiz in 10th, 11th to Thomas, Inwa in 12th, 13th to Boyalulu. Gergo is down in 16th place. What happened to Gergo? Because I thought they were a little bit higher up there. So maybe the 10-second penalty cost them more than we thought, or had a problem across the line. Zinedine Hajaj in 14th, 15th to Lucas, and no points to Gergo in the end, unfortunately, for the AMS drivers. But yeah, there we have it. What an incredible race there, Ollie. How would you wind that one down?
I'll round it down to just pure STI dominance as always, because they've come in here, done exactly what they do every other week, and have 1-2'd it. I can't actually work out the gaps now, unfortunately. That's my apologies. But if I was to make a rough estimation, I want to say, just give us 2 minutes to find out, please. 166, 1-2, pole. So that's it. So SCI picked up 67 points, and FRT picked up 47 points. So the gap between FRT and SCI becomes 186 points, which I believe, due to the fact that VNT scored quite poorly, would be roughly the gap between P1 and P2. So they've got to go into next week and just not lose out by roughly 13 to 49 points, I want to say, maybe 59 points. So they've got a very strong hand on the title now. They've just got to go into next week and just completely win it.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see on that one. It will be a very interesting race. Let's head to the calendar and have a look at what next week is. Wait, we know what it is. It's the one of the American Grand Prix, one of two that we've got on the calendar here in Competitive Speed Series for Season 11. It's Texas. Then we go to Monza and we end the season in Vegas. But Texas is a very good one. Again, we'll challenge the drivers in different ways. But do you think, over the last couple of weeks, we see FRT producing these sort of results? Can we see them get up there with the best in console?
100%. I'd argue they already are. But I just want to quickly tell you, Gogo tabbed out a session right at the end. He did finish P11 in the end, so he still brought in some decent points for AMS.
Perfect. There we go. That, we knew. I knew something wasn't right. Something definitely wasn't right. But who was your driver of the day, please, Ollie?
There's really only one answer to me. I'd say I want to say Volakonga, and he didn't have the most perfect qualifying, but he went for a bit more of a different strategy. Obviously, going in the lap after everyone else. Obviously, had to go through more fields than Dawid and Silo did, and at the end managed to hold on to P2 through great teamwork with his teammate. So it's quite tight between Silo and Vola, but they both equally done incredibly well in my eyes.
They have done, indeed, and well, putting an incredible job for the team. I think that's really. There's no one for podium interviews again. I'm just having a quick look. Yeah, no, unfortunately, no drivers coming in to speak to us this week, Ollie. So hopefully next week we'll have more of the same, won't we? In Vegas, not in Vegas, sorry, in Austin, Texas. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, I think the best way to run this one down is to say that, well, Shazoo's won the title, surely.
Basically, yeah, you can't really rip them out of their grips now because they had a bit of a sloppy race last week, but they brought undoubtedly a much stronger lineup in this week and just proved why they should be number one with a record 4th 1-2 and obviously again a record 8th win, which is something unheard of. Even in the 12th season calendar, you wouldn't expect 8 wins, but in the 15, you would be quite in shock if you saw maybe that many. But they've come in here and done it in 12, which is just incredible.
Absolutely incredible indeed, and a great hats off to the team and the drivers. They've done a fantastic job producing this season. But for now, thank you everyone for watching. We'll catch you next week for the Austin Grand Prix, the Texas Grand Prix, for both PC and console. But for now, thank you, and we'll catch you in the next one.